engaging with art, whether it's through creating, collecting, or just experiencing it, it slows us down, and it provides sort of a sense of connection and meaning. I always say art is a great antidote to the uncertainty that touches every part of daily life.
This is a podcast called The Many Faces of StellaNova, a podcast for the StellaNova Foundation. Here's your host, Scott Arthur.
Hey, welcome to our Houston Art Weeks podcast, where creativity meets community. And over the next few weeks, we're going to be introducing you to some of the remarkable voices who are helping launch a brand new cultural tradition here in our city. It's called Houston Art Weeks 2025, and it runs from October the 10th through the 19th, bringing together galleries and studios and independent artists all across the city for 10 days of discovery, inspiration, and giving back. Now, a portion of every sale benefits the StellaNova Foundation, supporting vital mental health outreach for Houstonians who may not otherwise have access to care. It's a great idea, and it's a creative with a cause idea. And you are about to meet one of the people who is helping make this happen. So let me introduce you to a gallery owner by the name of Heidi Vaughan. Hi, Heidi. How are you?
Hi, it's such a pleasure to be on the show.
Well, I tell you what, it says here in all my notes that we got to talk about gallery and everything like that, but you and I have chatted offline for a little bit, and I want to hear more about you, because I was going to say, how did you get into the gallery? Were you a painter? And you gave me the most amazing answer, and it had nothing to do with painting. So let's start.
I'm not an artist. I've never been an artist. That's not what I do.
Well, I think you sound like a voice artist and a producer. So give me a background. Talk to me.
Well, back in the late 80s and early 90s, I lived in Chicago, where I was in PR. I worked with big national clients like McDonald's, Gatorade, Johnson Wax, and sometimes in the work that we did, I did some of the voiceover, and I found I really loved it. Of course, now I have a show with Mr. McKinney on KPFT called The Houston Hour. It's every Wednesday at noon on 90.1 KPFT Houston, and we talk to artists for the first half an hour of every show. It could be a visual artist, performing artist, and then in the second half of the show, we talk to Houston legends like Mattress Mac and Lynn Wyatt.
Indeed, Houston legends. So how the heck does this have to do with galleries?
Well, I love it because it gives me the opportunity to talk to all kinds of creative people in our city, and we have an amazing city for the arts. I lived here 3 times. I moved here the first time in the 90s, and I was a mom with young kids and hadn't had the opportunity to really get engaged in the arts because I was doing family stuff. And the third time I moved here, my kids were all grown up, and I was able to indulge my own interests. And that's when I discovered what a great and vibrant art scene there is here in Houston. I've been a collector myself since the 80s, but I see, real value in the opportunity to talk to opera singers, dancers with the Houston Ballet. Our show, the Houston Hour, gives me the opportunity to know some of the most creative people in Houston. In fact, Doug Harris, the founder of Houston Art Weeks, has been on my show. Of course, he's great on the radio, but I just love it, and I see it as just a real way to tell our city how awesome it is.
It is indeed. And you mentioned Doug, and you will want us to mention Doug. Mr. Harris is a member of the Texas Radio Hall of Fame. I have that honor, and our producer, Ray, is about to be inducted into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame. Isn't that cool?
What a huge honor. That's great. Congratulations, Ray.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, and I just can't say it enough because I'm very, very proud of this man. So I'm scratching my head. I'm saying, okay, she did this. She did voiceovers.
Well, and I just want to say how much I love the radio. When I was a kid growing up, I listened to the radio constantly. I even had one of those transistor radios with just the one. Remember, there was one with one headphone that went in your ear. I had this thing called radio pillow. It was a radio that went inside the pillow that I slept with at night. And I had this radio by Panasonic. It was yellow. It was so cute. It was called a Toodaloop, and it looked kind of like a donut. And you could open it up and put it on the handlebars of your bike. And I would ride around listening to the radio. I love the radio. I'm a huge fan.
My jaw is hitting. I'm sorry. I'm trying to visualize you on a bike, listening to a radio, and ending up with a gallery. Now, you have all that great background. You said that you were interested in arts and things like that, but there's got to be a segue, a time where you said, well, I'm so interested in art that I want to get a gallery. Tell us about that.
That's a great question. Well, I have been a big supporter of the arts my whole life. My sister, who's 2 years older than me, her name's Deb Stevenson. She lives in Chicago. She is an oboist. My sister is so cool. She's played with The Who and Elton John. She's played with, all kinds of famous people. She's on lots of albums and stuff. And just growing up, I saw the importance of supporting that sort of thing. She has a big arts organization now in Chicago called Rendezvous Arts, and I'm just so proud of her. And I always wanted to advocate for creative people, so I have been involved in art in that kind of capacity for a long time. And I'm an art historian. I'm a credentialed fine art appraiser. I'm one of those people. I'm much better on the business side of it. I don't want to create things. I just want to take it in and enjoy things. So I feel really blessed to have gotten the gallery. It sort of came about. It just kind of happened. Someone kind of talked me into opening a gallery with her. It was someone who'd had a gallery in Houston for about 40 years, and it sort of fell apart at the very end, right when it was time to sign the lease. I have a gallery in Houston's oldest gallery row, dates to the 1970s, which for Houston is really old. But my gallery's on Lake Street, 3510 Lake at Colquitt. You might have heard of, Betty Moody's Moody Galleries there. She's had 50 years as a dealer. Jerry Hooks passed away during the pandemic, but Hooks Epstein is still very much a thriving gallery in business, more than 50 years. Those are some of my neighbors. And it just sort of happened that the person who was going to be my partner forgot she had to go out of town, didn't end up signing the lease. And then at the last second, something went sideways, and turns out I have an art gallery. And I started by representing some of the artists whose work I already collected. And it's just kind of grown. I represent 20 Houston-based artists. Most of them are in museums. Some of them, like my current show with Karen Broker, have museum solo shows. Karen taught drawing and printmaking. She's a master printmaker. She was the head of the School of Art at Rice University. She was a professor there for 42 years. I represent artists who are really established, and I love to help them be more successful and expand their reach here and beyond Houston.
So it's called Heidi Vaughan Fine Art. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right. How, and I always wanted to know this, how do you decide who you're going to represent? Is there a checklist that they go down, or you just know these
that's
people?
That's the question everybody asks. And I have to say, I have people who ask me, more than one person a week reaches out looking for representation. And it's people from around the world. And whenever it's anyone who isn't from Houston, the first thing that I say is, I'm sorry, I only represent Houston-based artists, because I really hate to ever make anyone feel like I wouldn't think their art was good. It's important to me to validate everyone, especially artists. They're very sensitive people, but they have to live in Houston. And then really the main thing is I have to like their art enough that I'm sitting there thinking, how can I buy that? Because that's sort of my threshold. If I want it, each of the galleries, the gallery owners are, essentially curators, and we are choosing the work that we like. So say you like to shop at Neiman Marcus. I know if I'm going to a gala and I go to Neiman Marcus, they're going to know what I should wear, and they can advise me on this would be a perfect dress for that occasion. And I like how they curate what they offer. And art galleries are really not any different. So artists I represent have maybe kind of some things in common in terms of the way they look. I like art that's uplifting. Art should always have some kind of meaning. You can have art about difficult subjects that isn't scary and hard to look at. I think it's really important what we surround ourselves with in our life, what we're looking at every day, the things that are on our walls, and we're reinforcing messages when we look at the art that's in our spaces, and I want it to be uplifting and beautiful and well rendered, and there are lots of things like that I care about, and I really need to like the artist personally. It's a very intimate relationship between a gallerist and the artist. There needs to be a lot of trust and mutual admiration for each other, and so factors like that. So sometimes people come in my gallery, they ask me for representation. They don't even know me. They don't even know what my shows are like. It would be like meeting someone and immediately saying, "Will you marry me?" And you don't know anything about them. That's not how you get representation. You need to spend time at galleries, find the ones where you feel like you're a good fit, and then spend some time getting to know the people there before you jump right into, will you represent me?
For the folks who have not been to your gallery, can you take a moment to take us through the front door, look around, and tell us what am I looking at? What do we see?
Well, I have a really small gallery. It is a space that has kind of always been a gallery. It was built by the Dickey family. There's a street in River Oaks called Dickey Place, and they did a lot of real estate development in River Oaks and Upper Kirby, where I am, and they built it with the intention that it be a gallery. Same with the galleries on Colquitt. So it's designed to be a gallery. I care very much how things look through the front door. I don't have a lot of windows on my building because a lot of light isn't great for art. A lot of natural light is the best way to view it, but I don't have like big glass windows. I have walls where there's light, natural light maybe up high or, something indirect. But when you walk in, the big room is the main room you see when you walk in. If the artist has a solo show, that's where their show is. And then I have two more rooms, and they have a combination of artists I represent as well as secondary market art that I have. I represent 20 artists, but I also, as a credentialed fine art appraiser, have access to really good art that's called secondary market art, which is to say I help people liquidate fine art assets. And that could be kind of anything. What it all has in common is it's really good. I have art at all price points. I do have some things in the gallery in the hundreds of dollars, but most things are in the thousands of dollars, and it goes up. The most expensive thing I have in the gallery right now is a painting by an artist named Davis Cohn for $250,000. But I have something in inventory that's not in the gallery that we have at $2.2 million for one painting by Thomas Wesselman, and a study and a little maquette that go with that. And that's secondary market work that I have. I have two storage units that are not there where I have a lot of the other art. I have more than 1,000 works of art available, and I regularly work with collectors who come in, but also art advisors, people who are looking to help people build collections. I do that myself. And so I think it's pretty sophisticated. I try really hard to make it feel not intimidating. One of the things I like about Houston Art Weeks is that it's bringing art to everyone. I hate to say some people are intimidated to walk into art spaces and they feel like they don't know enough and they're being judged. And boy, I welcome absolutely everyone who walks through my doors and endeavor to treat everyone with the same level of care and respect, and I want you to have a good time when you come to my gallery, and I want you to walk out the door thinking like, wow, I'm going to go back there.
I want to go there.
Good. I want you to come.
Boy, you paint a great picture for somebody who doesn't paint. So let me ask you something, Heidi.
Yeah.
Is the Houston art community growing, changing? What have you seen in the recent couple of years?
I would say it's growing, and here's why I think that. First of all, during the pandemic, the Museum of Fine Arts opened the Kinder Building, the new modern and contemporary building that is next to the Glassell School. The Glassell School is an amazing art school here in Houston. The Museum of Fine Arts is what we call an encyclopedic museum. You can see art from all time periods there, anything from ancient art to, contemporary edgy stuff. It's right at the intersection with the Contemporary Art Museum. Next to that is the Jung Center, which also has art exhibitions, and just the growth of that new modern and contemporary, where they're really emphasizing modern and contemporary as well as modern and contemporary Latin American is huge. Asia Society opened not so many years ago. It's one of the most architecturally significant spaces in Houston dedicated to the showing of Asian art as well as other Asian-related topics. One of the most exciting things that happened in Houston recently, also during the pandemic, is the University of Houston, where I got a graduate degree in art history, opened its Elgin Street studios. They are across the street from the School of Architecture at U of H. The University of Houston has an excellent school for MFAs, people getting their master's in fine arts, and the building is exquisite. When I was in graduate school there, I would regularly do studio visits with artists, and there was not natural light, which is super important. You would open like a shower curtain and to go from one person's studio to another. You'd have to walk through someone's studio to go to another studio. It was really not good enough. Now the space is, I have taken museum curators to visit artists in their spaces at the Elgin Street Studios at the University of Houston, and I think that's really significant. And, it's just been announced. Beth Murfish is an art historian. She has a PhD. She's the head of the School of Art at University of Houston. And she just announced that now if you get into the MFA program at the University of Houston, it is free. It is free for 3 years. That is a game changer for our city. It will enable us to attract some of the greatest talent from all over. And, our hope is that people in our city collect and display the work of our own people, and that allows them to be able to afford to continue to live and work here. And then the most recent thing I did, I went to a ribbon cutting at Rice University, where they've just opened the brand new Seraphim Hall for the Arts, which is just an exquisite building for housing all the art making and creative things, maker spaces that they're doing over at Rice. Again, another game changer for our city. These are all new things.
What opportunities do you see Houston Art Weeks can create for your audience, your artist, and all the potential art lovers?
Well, I think, first of all, I hope, that it attracts people who haven't felt welcome or that they belong in the Houston art scene. I hope it makes them feel like, oh, this is cool. I like this. I want to. I think it will just get people excited about Houston art. I think it will elevate the arts in the city. I see it as the beginning of a transition that will position Houston as a leading art city. I think what's so exciting about Houston Restaurant Weeks is what we'll have someday. I think Doug Harris had aspired to create something that ultimately is like Houston Restaurant Weeks, which was established in 2003 with a percentage of proceeds going to Houston Food Bank. Now I think there's something like 400 restaurants that participate. So Houston Art Weeks also has a charitable component, something I think is really important. And I think it's going to sort of ignite new attention and energy around Houston's artists, the art galleries, and our cultural institutions.
And to get a little bit more detailed about it, participating artists and galleries pay a registration fee of $15 and agree to donate a percentage of their sales during the Houston Art Weeks to the foundation. Now, this StellaNova Foundation you keep hearing about has designated the Montrose Center this time as the primary beneficiary. Past beneficiaries have included health care for the homeless, the Purple Heart Project, Guitars for Vets, on and on. Houston Art Weeks is more than just an art show. Doug said that. He said it's about celebrating the voices of Houston's artists and challenging their work and changing them into meaningful impacts for our community. So it's not only creating more opportunities to meet, greet the artists, talk to them, learn more about it, but also an opportunity to give back to the community. And you, Heidi, are part of that.
Oh, I love it. It's such a positive thing. I just love everything about the arts. I think engaging with art, whether it's through creating, collecting, or just experiencing it, it slows us down, and it provides sort of a sense of connection and meaning. I always say art is a great antidote to the uncertainty that touches every part of daily life. For me personally, I recently went to the new shows at the Menil Collection and at the Museum of Fine Arts, and no matter what is on my mind and distracting me, maybe causing me stress, I get in there and I just sort of forget about it immediately because I get really engaged in what I'm looking at. And when I walk out the door, I just feel really refreshed.
Well, you are a definite, wonderful part, a very supportive part of the art scene. And I can see why it is growing here in Houston with people like you and your clients as well.
So I think, for some of the Houston Art Weeks is just a great opportunity for individual artists to get their work out there. But for me, I had my show already scheduled in the Upper Kirby galleries. We have our schedules set way far in advance. I mean, I have shows booked in 2027. So I already had my show booked, and it's an artist named Ernesto Marenco. He's awesome. All the artists I represent live here. One of the great things about collecting art by living artists who live here is you can know them personally. You can go to their studio. You can maybe, go out to dinner or, breakfast or something with the artist. And when you know the artist personally, you have a very different relationship with your art and the way you feel about it and the way it makes you feel. Ernesto is one of the most successful artists living and working in Houston. He had a solo show with me in 2023, and work that showed in my gallery was in the Venice Biennale in 2024. And it sort of kills me when people think they have to travel to Art Basel or the Armory Show or, the Venice Biennale, these sort of things, to find really good art. We've got really great art here, trust me. Come talk to me. I'll be happy to tell you everything I know. But Ernesto makes these really wonderful objects. He calls them visual poetry. You might call them sculptures, but they're, just these wonderful, charming things. I recommend you check him out on my website, or if you're active, I'm on Instagram. He's got a great Instagram feed. His name is ERNESTO MARENCO, and he's just absolutely brilliant. People all over the world can look at them and immediately get them. He has representation in Europe. He has a gallery in Vienna. He has one in Brussels. He just got representation in Moscow. He shows all the time in Mexico City, where he's originally from. He's right here in Houston. You can meet him. We always have art talks with every exhibition that we have, and so it's an opportunity to meet the artists and hear about the work from them personally, which is super fun. So Ernesto Marenco is who I have up for Houston Art Weeks, and a percentage of the sales from that show will go to the StellaNova Foundation.
So remember, Houston Art Weeks 2025 runs October the 10th through the 19th with events across the city, including the pop-up exhibition at the Montrose Center, which is on Saturday, October the 18th. You got to be there and talk to the artist and everything Heidi said, plus. Every piece of art purchased helps support the StellaNova Foundation's mental health outreach. So when you can buy local art, you're also giving back to our community. To learn more, see the full lineup of artists and beneficiaries and galleries, and plan your visit. Go to StellaNovaFoundation.org. Join us, celebrate Houston's creativity, and be part of creativity with a cause. Heidi, thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you soon.
Oh, the pleasure's been all mine. Thank you for the opportunity.
This is Scott Arthur. Take care of yourself and others.
The StellaNova Foundation is a Houston-based 501c3 organization whose mission is to provide resources to those experiencing mental health issues who may not have access to treatment or care. Find out more at StellaNovaFoundation.org. The Many Faces of StellaNova is a podcast for the StellaNova Foundation, and it's available on